Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I would like to try to give you a class tier list for PvP content in Lost Ark. I'm gonna try to think about it historically and also actively, as in what's happening right now after balance patches and such. Please don't take this class tier list as the absolute truth. I need to play that to be that, the best, the second best, the third best. Please, part of this is my opinion. Part of this is the history of the class, and the most important thing is not my opinion on the history of the class. The most important thing is that in 6 months from now, with a balance patch, the class that I put in second tier of PvP might actually be in the first tier. The class that's in the first tier might be in the third tier. The class that's in the third might be in the first. So it's always important to take this and these kinds of videos on YouTube in general as sort of a guideline. And I would also like to politely refuse to have more than 3 tiers for this, because I think every class can be very enjoyable and you can actually do good on every class in terms of PvP in Lost Ark. On some classes much better than on the other classes, but someone has to be last. This is my point. And I also, from my experience playing PvP in Lost Ark Korea and Russia, I've also seen kinda a little bit of every class doing well. Let's start with tier 1, like the best classes in the game for PvP, and then we're gonna move down the ladder. At tier 1, I would like to absolutely, without a single doubt, place probably the best class historically and actively for PvP, which is the Blaster. Now, oh my god, I always wanted to do that. The first class in tier 1 is without a single doubt the Soul Master. I've been saying it since 2018, my boys. Soul Master is the best class invented by man in an MMORPG. It's so cool to play, it gives you so many options to be very viable in PvE, very viable in PvP, depending on how you spec. Some people call the Soul Master a jack of all trades, a master of none. I like to call the Soul Master a jack of all trades and a master at one at a time thing. Whatever they wanna do, they can master it, but just one at a time, not overall or 1.5 or 2. This is what I believe about Soul Masters. They have been owning the PvP scene since Lost Ark came out. At the very beginning, there was full of bards and warlords in the top 10 best PvP players, right? In Korea. But within those top 10, there was, I think, 1 or 2 Soul Masters as well. And after that, when the bards and warlords got the tone down that they actually needed, because it was a little bit ridiculous, Soul Masters were still there in the top 10, only not at place 7 or 8 anymore, always 1 or 2. When the Lance Master came out, Soul Master was not number 1 anymore, it was number 2 for 1 season and then back to number 1. When the Holy Knight came out, Soul Master was not number 1 anymore, it was number 2 and 1 season and then back to number 1. So Soul Master has always been a fabulous class for PvP content in Lost Ark. It was present in the esports, it was present in all the ranked things, in the top 3. The worst time a Soul Master had in the history of Lost Ark was, I think, before season 2, when I don't remember exactly, but the Berserkers in general were doing really good, and Destroyers, because they got a couple of buffs before that in the balance patch, and Soul Master was at number 3. So being number 3 best class for PvP, this is the worst that they have done. Not everyone can play a Soul Master right. There are a lot of people that play this class, and for good reason, but not everyone can excel at it. I believe that you really have to be meant for this class in order to be that number 1 or number 2 or number 3 when the case comes. I think it's a lot of hard work, passion, and I also think it's a lot of talent made specifically for the Soul Master. It's not such a straightforward class if you're, like, for example, a herder guy like myself. You cannot just start the class and start pressing your skills and go in front, then go in the back, then go in front. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to have a certain level of finesse playing the class. You need to really understand what's your role in that party, when you should pitch in, how you should pitch in, towards which teammate you should go and do this and that. It's a more of a complex experience. The class itself is not hard, it just has skills, some of them knock down, some of them are cast, some of them, you know, zoom you around the map. Should be straightforward in theory, but in reality there's so many Soulmaster players, and yes, there is many of those that actually make it in the top 50 of PvP players in Lost Ark on a constant basis. That's because it's just a fabulous class also. But just saying, you have to be meant for it. Can a Lance Master, for example, potentially be in tier 1? Sure, in some seasons Lance Masters were in tier 1. Can a Warlord potentially be tier 1 class? Sure, in some seasons Warlords were in tier 1. Can a Berserker be? Can a Destroyer be? Can a... Yes, there are other classes in the game that can potentially take or be in that tier 1 class, in my opinion. However, just to pay homage to Soul Masters which have been always constantly non-stop performing exceptionally since the beginning of the game in both regions, Russia and Korea, I would like to do them this favor and just leave them up there in tier 1 by themselves. In tier 2 I would like to place several classes, because it's only fair to these classes that have been doing actually quite well. I would like to place the Destroyer, the Berserker, the Warlord, the Holy Knight, the Bard as being the 2 supports, Blade, and Demonic. Infighter and Battle Master also here, because I really honestly do believe that Infighter as a class and Battle Master as a class have always performed nicely. Back in the day there were more Infighters that I saw around and being ranked higher. Now there are less of them. Back in the day I saw fewer Battle Master ranked higher. Now I see more of them. Historically speaking, these classes in tier 2 have had ups and downs. I don't even know exactly where to place a Warlord in this tier 2, because at the beginning of the game when Lost Ark launched, the Warlord was God. It was just Warlords and Bards in the top 10 players and nothing else, until they got the nerfs that they deserved, after which they started to drop a little bit. Now you don't see almost any Warlords doing, let's say, exceptionally well or being in the top 10, besides one. That's it, one. So because of that, I feel that they are in the second tier of PvP in Lost Ark. Also, the Destroyer and the Berserkers had an awful time in the first 8 months of Lost Ark. Nobody did anything with the Berserker in PvP. Everyone made fun of them. Lately, they've started to catch up, and I think the last season before season 2, the last ranked season of PvP before Lost Ark season 2, a Berserker actually took the whole thing, right? #1 player in PvP, a Berserker. Now, just because there is a #1 player as a Berserker does not mean that everyone who plays Berserker is gonna be in the top 10 just because the class is so OP. No, the guy behind the keyboard is OP on that particular class. However, he couldn't have done that a year ago or a year and a half ago, simply because the class itself was not helping the player behind the keyboard. I'm talking about Berserkers. So right now the class is helpful. The class has received several batches of buffs to make it very nice in PvP and very nice in PvE, as people have demonstrated in Korea. You can do well as a Berserker. Destroyers also, unlike Berserkers, have been okay, nice throughout the history of Lost Ark. However, I still don't feel like placing them in the top tier or in the third tier, because I feel that they just belong here in the second tier. I also believe that at the same time as this Berserker, before season 2, there was a Destroyer also in the top 3, so that proves that the class is also viable. However, Destroyers have been constantly in the top 10 PvP players, 1 or 2 per top 10, not more. Same situation as Berserker. Just because it's a nice class that some people play well and can get there, doesn't mean that everyone that plays a Destroyer or Berserker can get there. Lance Master, same situation as the Warlord. Amazing when it came out. It dominated the PvP scene, being #1 for 2 seasons in a row, I believe. But after that, after receiving the nerfs that it actually needed, it has dropped down a little bit. And now, sure, you could potentially see Lance Masters maybe in the top 15 or top 20 players in the game, but again, a class that has lost a little bit of traction, yet still a very potent class in that sense. Classes lose traction and gain traction not only because of the nerfs that they receive in particular, but also because of the buffs or nerfs that other classes receive. So if a class is there that can nicely deal with a Bard or a Warlord now, then obviously the Bard and the Warlord players are gonna have troubles performing as well as they did 6 months ago. Because of that, things change in terms of leaderboards, just for you to understand. The Blade and Demonic are classes that have been doing good since they came out. Good, I'm not saying so and so, I'm saying good. Right now they continue to do good, and they have done good since they came out. Nice playstyles for both depending on what kind of player you are, but it's a class that for sure can get you, if you have enough skill and passion for PvP, for sure Blade or Demonic can get you in the top 10. Did I mention Arcana in this second tier? Because I believe it's a class that is on the rise. Arcana is a class that has been worked on in the recent months, and right now it's actually a very viable class for PvP content, while before, at the beginning of the game, it wasn't really that much. Nobody was really playing Arcana, and the Arcana players were being laughed at. It's the same as Berserker players at that particular time. However, now 2 thumbs up for Arcana, one of the best classes, I would say, on the rise in terms of PvP content. Now let's talk about tier 3, because this is, I think, what everyone's curious about. Now, classes in tier 3 are Summoner, Devil Hunter, Blaster, and it just breaks my heart to put Hawkeyes here also, because I know they used to be quite nice, maybe tier 2 material, but I will put Hawkeyes here in tier 3 as well. Someone has to be at the bottom. It's the life of every MMORPG. You cannot have every single class exactly as good as the other one. There has to be number 1, and there has to be the last number as well. So Summoners, Blasters, Devil Hunters, Hawkeyes. These are the classes that, in my opinion, and historically speaking, have been in tier 3 out of 3 tiers in PvP content. Now see, Devil Hunters have always struggled because they cannot really cast their skills. They have nice skills, and it's a really cool class to just destroy new players on. You can make, you can just make fun of them, just hop around them and stagger them to death. But when you meet someone that actually knows how to play his class being any other class that I've already mentioned, you're gonna have troubles as a Devil Hunter. And I'm not talking here about 1v1 duels or your 1v1 late night PvP. That's for fun. Nobody cares about that. That doesn't matter how fast a Hawkeye is in a 1v1 duel, and that you cannot catch him as a Warlord. Nobody cares about that. Everyone, we're just talking, and throughout the video I've been talking about 3v3 PvP, the ranked version, the esports version, the only thing that matters. So Devil Hunters cannot use their skills. Hawkeyes are not that easy to catch if you're a Destroyer or a Warlord or a Berserker or a Blaster or whatever. But if you're a Battle Master, you're just gonna shit on that Hawkeye. If you're a Lance Master, you're gonna shit on it. If you're a Soul Master, tier 1, my boys, godlike class, that Hawkeye is not even gonna know what hit him. And there's other classes that can deal well with them as well. The same kind of goes for Devil Hunters. They're a nice class, really cool to play, kind of mechanically difficult, the most difficult class mechanically to play in Lost Ark. But it's just that historically they've never really been in the top 10 ever players in PvP. Hawkeyes, sure, I've seen a couple at some specific times, maybe 1 or 2, that have made it to the top 10 best PvP players. Blasters, I have never in my life seen one in the top 10 since the game started. Summoners, never in my life seen one in the top 10. Maybe there was one in the top 20 by mistake. Summoner, I mean, not Blaster, but that's kind of all I remember. It might be that my memory is playing tricks on me. However, my opinion is that these 4 classes are, let's say, tier 3. I want to end this video on the following note, just so you can have a better idea on what does it all mean. My main class is Summoner, and I love PvP. I love PvP on Summoner. I love to do it. I love what I need to do. And because I love the class so much, in everything else, and the class, by the way, Summoner, kind of sucks in PvE also. So, because I just love the class so much, every time I play it and I'm excited to sit at my PC and just get involved in the whole Summoner thing, I really don't care in what tier it is in terms of PvP or PvE content. And this is the most important thing, because you can have fun on Summoner in PvP, you can have fun on Summoner in PvE, you can have fun with Blaster in PvP content. The class has to be fun for you. And before Summoner I've played Blaster, another class that is in, let's say, tier 3 PvP, and I loved it to death as well. These 2 classes for me, out of all the classes, and I've played every single one of them, these 2 classes for me were the most appealing, and the most fun I've had in Lost Ark was on Summoner and then on Blaster. Because of this, I would like to mention that the tiers don't matter. At one point, maybe Summoners are gonna be the best class, oh my god, so OP. Blasters, Hawkeyes, Devil Hunters. All that matters is you enjoying this particular class. Because if you don't enjoy it, no matter what class you play, you can be a Soul Master, an Infighter, a Battle Master, an Arcana, a Holy Knight. If you don't love it, and if you're not, let's say, somehow made for it, you're never gonna achieve your goals that I was talking about and praising these classes throughout the video. Oh my god, Holy Knight so good, Bard so good. Because it's just not meant for you. Class should be meant for you and you should love it, and this is how you're gonna have the most fun on it. And even if the class will not help you achieve #1 PvP spot, at least you would finish the season being happy about it, that you've played your favorite thing and you've gotten number 67 out of that your region, as opposed to playing a Blade or a Demonic or a Soul Master and still getting number 63, or maybe not 63, maybe 41, but still not achieving that goal that you might have set for yourself. These were all my thoughts about PvP and classes in Lost Ark. I thank you so much as always for watching. I wish you lots of love. I'm gonna see you really soon. Until then, stay safe, take care.